I'm Amy Nicholson, the film critic for the LA Times.
And I'm Paul Scheer, an actor, writer, and director. You might know me from The League, Veep, or my non-eligible for Academy Award role in Twisters.
We love movies, and we come at them from different perspectives.
Yeah, like Amy thinks that, Joe Pesci was miscast in Goodfellas, and I don't.
He's too old. Let's not forget that Paul thinks that Dune 2 is overrated.
It is.
Anyway, despite this, we come together to host Unspooled, a podcast where we talk about good movies, critical hits,
fan favorites, must-sees, and in case you missed them.
We're talking Parasite to Home Alone.
From Grease to The Dark Knight.
We've done deep dives on popcorn flicks. We've talked about why Independence Day deserves a second look.
And we've talked about horror movies, some that you've never even heard of, like Ganja and Hess.
So if you love movies like we do, come along on our cinematic adventure.
Listen to Unspooled wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget to hit the follow button.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart-Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast, Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's only one story. The Only One in the Room has a wide variety of guests, from prisoners to abuse survivors to swingers. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee that Only One in the Room will have a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone.
Hello everybody and welcome to Extended Play. This week we are talking about Skyrim. I'm Stuart Reid. Joining me are Keza MacDonald.
Hello.
Tom Butler.
Hello.
And Daniel Krupa.
Hello everyone.
Can we get the arrow in the knee gag out of the way before we go any further, please?
Yeah, we're not going to do that, are we?
All right, that's good to know.
You guys can do it, though. If you've got any good arrow in the knee gags, please send them in to... Actually, don't.
No,
don't.
Write the email, then put it in your trash folder.
And then hit yourself in the face.
Yeah.
Skyrim, what if you've been living in a cave for the last 8 months, Daniel Krupa? Just explain briefly what Skyrim is.
Skyrim is an open world RPG set in a fantasy realm known as Skyrim, and basically it's a game that can be anything you want it to be. If you want it to be, as Tom puts it, what did you say?
Time machine.
No, it's not a time machine. You said it's
it's a pottering around simulator.
It can be a pottering simulator if you want to be, or you can basically be the hero in your own fantasy world. But it's like different things to different people, I think.
But for time machine for me, I would turn it on and literally then it'd be 5 hours later. I don't know how it happens.
It's a time sink, isn't it? It really is. You get into it so much. You get so involved into it. I absolutely adore it. Well, what kind of characters has everybody chosen to be? Keza, what kind of character are you?
I'm a cat thief.
A cat thief?
I'm a cat thief.
So you steal cats?
Yes.
Is that a precedent from playing other Elder Scrolls games?
It is, yeah. I was always Khajiit in Morrowind, and then I was Khajiit again in Oblivion, and then I ended up being Khajiit again. The reason
I fancy changing it though?
Sort of, but they just look so much cooler than all the other races. That's really my only justification. Also, I inevitably, in open world games like this, inevitably end up deviating towards being a massive, massive klepto and nicking stuff. And cats are very agile. I've got good stat bonuses for that kind of thing. Did anyone just jump in and create a character without really considering what the kind of skill ramifications are?
I picked an Oregonian because
breathe underwater.
I really like dinosaurs and lizards.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that was, it's the natural choice.
I like cats.
But also because I have an overwhelming fear of drowning in video games and they can breathe underwater. So that's not a problem.
That's a very good reason for choosing.
I'm just terrified. It's watching Mario die and Sonic die as a child.
Sonic in particular.
Yeah. Mario
drowning.
I think Mario drowning in Super Mario 64 is hardcore.
It's deeply traumatic.
He clutches his throat and then just goes all limp and lifeless.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
But if you eat money, it gives you oxygen.
That's true.
Always found that quite troubling, the logic behind that. But yeah, I picked an Oregonian for that reason, and he looks quite cool. But I also, what did you name your character? Because I felt like, at first I was going to name him something quite flippant. I was going to call him Yoshi, and I thought, no, because I won't be able to take the game seriously.
I
called him Rodan.
That's nice. He's a thinker.
Yeah.
Mine's Kajira.
Yeah.
Just because it's half of Khajiit, and then...
Mine's Perseus, and Tom, yours is...
Oh, mine's Granny Baps.
Granny Baps.
Granny Baps.
But I tell
I
you what-
didn't know that. I wasn't setting it up for a guess.
But actually,
Does that
that,
not
that
undercut-
speaks volumes about how I was feeling about
Yeah,
Skyrim going
actually.
into it, because this was just after my Christmas holidays.
You were being
and-
quite blithe about
And
it.
yeah, I wasn't too keen on playing Skyrim because I always watched my housemate play Oblivion. And watching him play Oblivion just seemed like it was a running and jumping game, because he would literally spend hours running around jumping to build up his athletics. And I was just thinking, do you know what? I don't need that. And he spent hours and hours. So I went into it thinking, I'll give it a go because everyone's playing it. And ended up with a character called Granny Baps, who was, in the end, awesome after
Level 50.
Yeah, after playing for 55 hours. It was ridiculous.
Do you ever feel bad about yourself when you make a stupid decision like that, and then like hours and hours and hours later you look back? Does it make you think, oh, I wish I hadn't called it Granny Baps, or does it still make you laugh?
No, it still makes me laugh.
Good. All right, that's fine.
Still makes me laugh.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we used to laugh just before Christmas when Skyrim was on the horizon. We had a bit of a thing going where we used to say, well, it's not Skyrim. I think it came from FIFA 12 originally, when people were saying, why have you given FIFA 12 such a high score? It's not Skyrim. And there's a lot of devotion to Skyrim and the whole Elder Scrolls thing. Keza, I was going to ask you, why is Skyrim so important to people as a game?
I think it's because it's so ambitious. It's what proper nerds want from a video game, and I say that in an affectionate way, because it's just completely comprehensively player focused. You know, it's all about you. I think the reason people love the Elder Scrolls games is just because it makes this a really personal connection with you immediately, because everything you do is your own kind of impetus and your own story. And Skyrim tries a little bit more than either Oblivion or Morrowind to kind of push you in directions and give you hints and set up nice set pieces for you, but generally it's just it is what you make of it. I think people feel really personally connected to the series because you remember that time that you ran away from the vampires at the top of the mountain in Oblivion and fell off the cliff, or you remember accidentally transforming into a werewolf in front of the Council of Elders and ending up murdering them and being unable to complete the game.
You have this bespoke experience, don't you?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, because it is bespoke. And also, Skyrim looked so exciting before it came. Maybe not so. I don't know about you guys, but to me, before it came out, it was so pretty and it was so huge. You know, it's just so kind of the possibilities. You were sort of imagining all this stuff that it couldn't possibly deliver. So I was surprised when it came out, and everyone was still like, "Yeah, fucking love it," because I thought people would have built up this like crazy, unmeetable expectation in their head.
It is a beautiful looking game, and it does definitely create atmosphere no other way, especially when you're exploring and you say you'll head into the mountains and the snow just starts to build up. And
It's incredible, isn't it?
The whole mood changes.
It does, doesn't it?
And when it starts getting dark and you hear the wolves howl, and you're all of a sudden you're drawing your sword because you know something's happening. It's
Sometimes I skip forward in time intentionally just so I can see the northern lights while I'm walking about.
Yeah.
So it is that beautiful.
Yeah,
I think it's very easy to romanticize Skyrim, but one of the things that I think is equally brilliant about it is the fact that it's a sublimely ridiculous video game. Like, you know, when the snow starts falling up the mountain, I quite like getting to the bit where the snow starts to fall and then walking 2 steps back, no snow. 2 steps forward, there comes the snow. It's 2 steps back, no snow. And I think that's kind of as much a part of Skyrim as anything else, though, the ridiculousness of it. The fact that you can, you know, club a guy's
I always feel like
when
when you go to like the places in the Far East where they must have this incredibly hard existence, and you're like, just move 5 minutes down the road.
Yeah, literally.
You'll
Just
be fine. Your crops will never fail. You'll be able to feed your children. Like, it's much easier, and those people are much happier there. They're much more sunny disposition. But people, you know, anyway.
Do you think it's come closer to depicting a real existence in a video game than anything else has?
I think in very, very narrow parameters, though.
very
because as soon as you start questioning anything within Skyrim, you realise the sheer ridiculousness.
Like, why does the Jarl speaks in his weird Icelandic accent that he has? Why do his children sound Californian?
And also, you start up a story with someone, and then 3 months later, you go back to them, and they're like, "Oh, did you get this for me?" And it's like, and they still remember 3 months ago, as if I would have forgotten a long time ago. And I think also in terms of that is the lack of consequences to your actions.
Yeah.
So you can murder someone in a town, and there will be a bounty on your head, and you just pay it off, and then everyone's fine with it.
There's a difference between realistic and believable as well.
Yeah.
I think Dark Souls is actually the most realistic fantasy world ever.
Because you die so quickly.
Because if something happens, then it's happened. Like if you hit a merchant, right? Like for instance, the only merchant in the game who sells arrows. If you hit him with your sword, then he will fight you to death, and then you'll have to kill him or be killed, and then you'll never be able to buy arrows again. and it does fuck you over, and it's really harsh. But that's what would happen, you know.
Yeah.
If you kill the Jarl's children, it's not going to go away if you then pay a bounty. But then the thing is, it's also impossible to create a game that actually works on the
Well, it's
rules
on
of reality.
current, on the current systems that we have.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fun though, would
there
it?
are limitations, aren't there? Would it be fun though?
Well, Dark Souls isn't fun sometimes. It's not fun when you accidentally hit somebody and then
Some
that's it
people
for the
would
whole
say
game.
that Dark Souls is never fun.
Some people would. But I mean, Skyrim's not really like that. I think Skyrim's more gentle, isn't it? It just kind of envelops you and it's like, look at this world, play. Look at all the stuff you've got to play with. You can do whatever you want. Whereas, most video games are trying to please the player. I think Skyrim's a very player-focused game, isn't it?
Yes.
Like, it's not really about look at the world. It's about look at you and look what you can do. Although I do find it believable, don't you? Like, I love the way that just the construction of the world is so beautiful. Like the structure of it, the layout of it, and the internal mythology of the place is really good. Like you'll read about something in a book and then you can find it.
You can find it accidentally.
Yeah, or you hear a rumor about someone and then they'll be there. Like that kind of internal consistency is brilliant.
So you're talking about it being a player-focused game. Obviously, there is a campaign of sorts in there. There's a main storyline. Have you kind of pursued that? Have you kind of sort of left that alone to do your own thing entirely?
Ignored it.
Ignored it entirely?
Yeah, no, I after getting to a certain point, I found that I really wanted to put a stop to it because I was moving house. It was literally I was running out of time to be able to do things in my own personal
So you're not
life.
going back to it now?
So
You've drawn a line.
I thought if I can just finish the main quest, and then I'll draw a line under it. And
So you have finished the main?
So I finished the main quest with all the dragon stuff, and it basically you finish that, but then there's everything else still yet to do.
Yep.
So I think I became the Archmage of Winterhold. I became the leader of the Imperial Legion, and then
The Legion, not the Stormcloaks.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Tom.
I'm a sucker for uniforms. But actually, do you know the thing
Dirty
was,
imperialist.
I know, yeah. But the thing is that everyone seemed to be doing the Stormcloaks, and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to have my own thing here. I'm going to join the Imperial Legion.
I feel like Skyrim is just like a kind of fantastical Scotland. It's really cold, and no one really likes
Anybody
the
else?
rest of Cyrodiil or anybody else,
Yeah.
and everyone drinks too much.
And
There's a violent insurgency, a violent but
always
completely
repeating
incompetent.
themselves.
Yeah, quite. A violent insurgency
Always
that
talking
actually
over
gets
each
nowhere. Yeah, happens.
It's not without its irritations, though, is it? I mean, the other night I was playing it, and I was in an inn, and I went to talk to somebody to get a room for the night, and as I went to talk to them, I accidentally stole something from them, and so it all kicked off. I hit X, stole something, guards came in, got into a fight, had to start it all over again.
Yeah, the quick save is your friend.
Yeah.
In these
Yeah.
games, Bethesda's always been like that. Like in every Bethesda game, in Oblivion, they used to save it quite infrequently. Like they've kind of fixed that over the years. Like they now save it on consoles anyway. On the PC, it's fine. You just F11 it. But and on consoles, they've actually finally figured out what an appropriate number of times to save is, so that you don't accidentally fuck your entire game and have to go back like 6 hours, like I did once in Fallout.
I've had that as well, where there's an incident happening in a town, like someone's being attacked, and then you end up attacking the wrong person, and then
I'm not welcome in Malkarth.
Oh, you're not?
No, because of an accident.
like in real life.
No, it's true though. It is beautifully broken, but I play with surround sound headphones, and sometimes you initiate conversations accidentally, and you can initiate multiple conversations, and it gets to the point where I can't tell what's going on.
Absolute
And what
cacophony.
this person, I'm talking to this one person, but 3 other people are just like nagging me, and I can't understand what's going on, and I lose the thread, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do then. And it just completely ruins it for me.
I think there are lots of moments in Skyrim where you remember you're playing a video game. That's the thing. Like, I mean, very often something silly happens, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Does anyone else find that really?
I think I'm very
affects
forgiving
it?
of it. Like, I think it's a byproduct of its insane ambition.
Yeah, I think you can forgive it for its quirks, for what it actually does and can do. Like when you look at that map and you look around and you think, "Fuck,
Yeah.
I've got to get from there to there, and I can't fast travel."
Yeah.
And literally, I played it for 30 hours before realising there was a run button. So
Wow.
Nope.
yeah.
That's happened to so many people. Though.
Yeah.
That's
Hands
really
up,
common.
yeah.
Stu,
Same here.
Lots of people have had that experience.
Yeah.
I've got a great story about Oblivion. Somebody who shall remain nameless, who was reviewing Oblivion, played it for 35 hours.
Keza.
It wasn't me. Promise it wasn't me. Or was it? But they played it for about 35 hours. Never figured out how to level up.
Oh my god!
You had to go to sleep to level up. You had to go to bed.
Yeah.
So, talking about leveling up now, you get sucked into the game. It's very, very addictive, and I've been thinking about leveling up and your progression, and how it almost acts like a gambling addiction. Like it gives you that incremental buzz, very, very slowly and gradually, meaning you're having to spend more time in it to get that kick. I mean, do you think that's a fair criticism to level at Skyrim?
Do you think it's a criticism?
I think
Surely it's clever gameplay.
It's an intentional design.
But then also, if it was, if you could level it at, say, Farmville, something like that, and people say that's a bad thing.
That's because you have to pay money.
Yeah. But then if you look at how they do it within Skyrim, it's a very similar sort of system. Would you not agree?
I would agree, yeah. I think that's the classic kind of RPG thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like from World of Warcraft to Skyrim to Diablo.
Investment of time.
Yeah, it's the fact that it's like, you every 5 minutes you're like, oh, level up, and then suddenly it's like every hour, and then it's every 5 hours, and then it's every 30 hours. You get the buzz. But I think Skyrim has more to offer than just that. Like, I didn't actually find I really felt more powerful. Like that first time the dragon comes along and I punched it to death with my fists.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed.
That's always quite empowering, isn't it? Punching a dragon to death.
And I was,
with your bare hands.
at that point, I was like, well, I mean, I feel more.
I'm not that into the leveling up. I sometimes accumulate points and then I never got the perks, and I don't get round to assigning them. And
I did go through a phase of spamming the system, like with blacksmithing.
Iron daggers.
Yeah, iron daggers.
I can imagine you just sitting there continually forging iron daggers.
Yeah,
see, but doing that would bore the hell out of me.
That's
just doing
thing,
that constantly. I would not want to do that. I've forged a couple of bits and pieces, but
it's quite easy
on
to
the
do.
whole, it's easy. But I just think I want to get on and investigate the rest of the world. There's so much excitement out there.
I sometimes just go on just to walk around. I did that the other day in the office when I brought it in. I wasn't trying to do anything. I just like exploring.
I like being in Skyrim.
I like filling in the map.
You just like being inside Skyrim.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Lowering the tone.
Nothing wrong with that. But you would be quite happy to sit there and just make these iron daggers.
With smithing iron daggers, you can just buy 100 leather strips and 100 ingots, and then make 100, and just go ding 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 ding, and your leveling up shoots up, and then your main leveling up goes up as well. So I think it was kind of worth doing. And
but
also
it sort of skews you though, because your level goes up, but your combat skills are down.
It does. But also, did you do the thing where when you start the very first game, you can just spam hit the guy that's showing you around?
Yeah,
he can't die, so you literally start off just by punching him, and he's showing you around.
The greybeard. You knew the greybeards as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Because then your one-handed will just go up incrementally right at the start. So I knew this before going in.
I just find Skyrim is this really unique combination of the sublime and the ridiculous for me. Yeah. It's everything that I love about video games. In both, it's their ambition, it's their kind of interactivity, it's their kind of brilliant absorptiveness, and it's their beauty. But then it's also their silliness and their nonsensical logic and their quirks, which I also love about gaming.
And as you mentioned earlier on, guys, it's fabulously broken in parts as well.
It's beautifully broken. I remember when Kez and I were playing it, and she was walking along, and there was this dragon skeleton started to reanimate.
Yeah.
And we both looked at each other going, oh my god, undead skeleton, necrotic skeleton.
Undead dragon.
Oh no, it's actually a bug. It's actually a bug. But
it was just a skeleton jerking up and down.
In the game though. A skeleton dragon.
That would have been I thought it was, because there was an undead dragon in Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I think it was a difficult game to come to after Dark Souls, I think, Skyrim, because it was just so different. Well, everything is, but Skyrim particularly, it's just the contrast is massive. So I felt a bit disappointed by it when it took me a good 10 hours to bed in and just get used to not being murdered all the time, and get used to the game not requiring as much of me, and not having to kind of invest as much of myself in it in order to enjoy myself. What
was the first? When do you think it finally kind of clicked with you? Then, what was there something that happened on screen or part of the story that made you go, "Oh, yeah, okay, now I'm here"?
Yep, Thieves Guild.
Yeah.
As soon as I found the Thieves Guild, that's always the case though. I love that stuff. I just love it. Love nicking things.
See, that was the point where I got a bit bored with it with the Thieves Guild.
I think after you've done Thieves Guild I did the Companions, I did the Thieves Guild, and now I'm not really interested in doing the other two. It gets to the point where you're like, right, okay, so I'm Dovahkiin, I'm King of the Dragons, I'm I'm a massively powerful werewolf, I'm King of the Archmages, I'm also the head of the Thieves Guild. Surely this is just getting a bit much, isn't there?
Yeah. You've done everything, yeah. So I really like the sort of main quest. That's when it got me. It's like I like sitting there. I like when the Dovahkiin music hits in, and the first time you hear the dragon speak,
that's really cool.
And he mocks you because he starts speaking in the dragon tongue, and he's like, "You're the Dragonborn." You don't even understand me. I was like, I like this. I like that classic sort of classic fantasy motif of you being the chosen one, you being the anointed one, you being this kind of messiah figure. I like that. And that's why I like the central quest rather than going off for 4 hours pottering about. I like the structured narrative.
But that's the joy of it. It's both there for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's the structured narrative and there's the pottering about, and I think that's what makes it so special.
Indeed. I think that's what Skyrim gets right that other Bethesda games haven't, as well as the right balance of those two things, like the right balance of guided fun and off you go. Go on, rummage around in the back of that person's sofa cushions and maybe you'll find a special gem.
Has anybody else played any of the other Elder Scrolls games?
I've only
had bad experiences with Oblivion.
People play Oblivion,
Yeah, same experience. I just watched Oblivion over people's shoulders.
Yeah.
So I was at university at the time. I just thought, I'm not buying this game.
Before Skyrim came out in this office, no one really gave a shit about it. I was psyched because I'm a big Bethesda fan, but everybody else was like, whatever, which is why I find it's just great, especially Tom. It's just great that he's enjoyed it.
Well, Tom had the epiphany that we wanted Alex to have.
Yeah, we were going to have Alex it is, but Alex has
Alex
no time.
just has no time for it.
He just has
whatsoever.
no interest in it.
For non-regular listeners, he's our editor-in-chief. He's got a baby and everything. He doesn't really have time for games.
But I've got a baby and everything, and I'm finding time for Skyrim because it's good.
I think another thing about the whole experience was actually a sense of, although it's a very single-player game, is actually the sense of community around it.
Yeah.
As well.
True, the water cooler moments.
Both my flatmate at the time and one of my other really good friends are both playing at the same time, so I was able to sort of share information with them, get all my tips and everything from them, and also give them a bit of information. Also come to work and get...
And everyone's having their own unique experience. And, we talk about this a lot because we love video games. And you get the sense that, we talk to a lot of people who love video games. But obviously a lot of people play video games that don't talk about video games with each other. There's not that extent, bigger community. It's weird. Yeah. It's like football's really mainstream and loads of people talk about football. It's not quite the same with video games. And I was coming back on a train from a set visit and I heard two 40-year-old men on the tube discussing the relative pros and cons of becoming a werewolf. That's a true story. And I just thought, there you go, that's brilliant.
That's superb.
That's brilliant.
I've got a similar one. My partner had to go in hospital for a couple of nights last week. And I went to visit her and the woman in the next bed, her partner came in. And he just started going on about how he's almost filled the entire map in Skyrim now. And it's just like, my God, it's like everybody seems to be playing this game.
It's the secret life of all of us.
It's just like, why isn't that out in the open?
Just on another slight note, a friend of mine works at a cinema and someone came in looking to see Skyrim. They were like, I want to... that film with the dragons and the guy with the horned helmet. And when's that out?
You've probably seen it on a billboard, yeah.
Well, there's a really good cinematic trailer that they show at the cinema, funnily enough. But it's a really good trailer. But yeah, they've obviously done their marketing job there.
That is funny.
Yeah. What's the one thing that you would change about the game if you could? Keza?
I think the combat.
Yeah, I think the combat is quite weak.
It's so much better.
Anachronistic?
I mean, a bit what, sorry?
Anachronistic.
A little bit, yeah. It's so much better than Oblivion, though, that it's difficult for me to... I think part of the thing is that...
very wooden and very stilted.
It is a bit, but I mean, I don't think you can really change the combat that much without changing the game.
Literally hit and miss.
Yeah, you're quite right. But I tend to play with bow and arrow and sneaking, which is much more rewarding. But the thing is that other people kind of just like, this hammer doesn't even feel like a hammer. I'm not enjoying myself playing it.
I feel my character is very sort of just... My character doesn't move like my character looks like he would. And this
actually, if there's one thing I could change, it's the animation of everything.
And he just feels like this generic, like automaton, instead of being this like really lithe lizard chap.
It's true. Okay, right. So I'm going to take my answer back and say I would change the animation of literally everything in the world.
There you go. Just a minor revision.
Minor.
That's probably,
apart from the horses look great.
A patch.
The horses look awesome.
You think so?
Do you think so? I don't think so.
I love the horses. I think they're really nice horses.
I don't think it comes close to a Red Dead horse.
Well, no, Red Dead horses are the gold standard. The gold standard of video game horses.
Oh, I'm going to put it out there and say the thing that I would change would be those fucking loading screens. Am I allowed to screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have now.
Jesus Christ.
Well, you're so sick of seeing an elven dagger.
Oh, I don't want to spin it around anymore. I just...
You can't even spin it around quickly.
If you do one and then the other, it almost doubles the speed of spinning it around. My God. Boring loading screens. And how often does it have to load as well? It's one thing that's made me think that's what I want from next gen. But
you'd like it to just be on a massive SNES cartridge.
I'm possibly alone in this, but I would quite like the loading screens to be pages from the history of Cyrodiil.
See, I'd read
that would be quite more interesting.
Yeah.
And you'd be forgiving of the long loading time.
Yeah, and you'd read, because the thing is that sometimes, I mean, I read a lot of the books in Skyrim, but sometimes it's like the history of the 5 kingdoms or whatever it is. You look at it and you're like, oh,
read it.
And you read, and you go through like five pages of it, and you're like, oh my god, skip to the end, no quest prompt, go. Whereas if it was on a loading screen, I probably would read the whole history of the Elder Scrolls universe.
Yeah.
You would, like, if you played it for 40, 50 hours, that'd be enough time.
What would you change, Stu?
What would I change? At the moment, nothing, because don't forget, I'm nowhere near as far into it as you guys. I was quite a latecomer to it, so I'm only around about level 10 or something at the moment. I'm thoroughly enjoying every moment of it, though. Like you say, the load screens are a little bit irritating. The combat's a little bit poor, but it's like immersing yourself into a hot bath. There's something just so comforting about the entire world. I absolutely adore it.
That's
really
video
do.
games, Stu. That's video games when they work.
When they work. What do you want from the Elder Scrolls 6?
Underwater.
In space.
This is a suggestion from a reader. I want it to be in space, like Mass Effect.
I can imagine it being in some kind of aquatic world. Well,
I think it's got to be the marshes. We've not been to the marshes, and we've not been to where the Khajiit are from.
Yeah, so that's
If you
what
look
we
at
want. We want better animations.
Better animations. If you look at the mental map of the Elder Scrolls universe, they've done Daggerfall, they've done Morrowind, they've done Cyrodiil, they've done Oblivion, they've done Skyrim now, which has always been this like, oh, Skyrim's up north, let's not think about it very much in all the other Elder Scrolls games. So
just like our country.
They're kind of running out of places to go.
And that would be the kind of next sort of topographical choice.
Yeah, I don't know if they made it again, though. I'm thinking about whether it's a one-off. Because it is very different from Oblivion. Oblivion was all about the gates of hell, about the demons. And Skyrim's all about dragons. What is there left? Could they base the next one on?
Is this like an IQ question?
Pixies.
We've had demons. We have demons, dragons. What's next? Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
I don't know.
Dinosaurs.
Gorillas.
Gorillas?
I'm not sure Skyrim could be. I'm not sure what they could do with the next one.
Oh, well.
You know what I mean?
But on the next gen system.
I still think it might be the ultimate expression of the idea that Bethesda had. Bethesda has had one idea.
All the different parts of the map together.
Ooh. Oh,
That would be
wow.
something.
Actually,
That's
whole...
it. You can go
my God.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Anywhere in the Elder Scrolls universe.
Perpetual world. You just
Without any loading times, you could walk from Oblivion to Skyrim.
God.
That would be a game that would keep you going
That'd
forever.
be-
wouldn't
Imagine riding on your horse from the marshes down to Morrowind and then up again to Skyrim. That would be
You'd
ridiculous.
be sore.
Bit of saddle rash. Nice.
Yeah.
it? And finally, just before we go, if you had to convince someone to play Skyrim that had never played this type of game before, how would you go about convincing them? What would you say to them?
We've tried with Alex and we failed. What convinced you, Tom?
You gave it a chance.
Yeah, I think I gave it a chance. And also, I'm a sucker for marketing. And if everyone else is playing it, then I want to play it as well.
Listening to that, Bethesda?
Yeah.
Good job.
Good job.
So, listeners, do let us know what you love and hate about Skyrim as well, what you think makes it so addictive, why you've sunk so much time into it, and let us know if you think there are technical issues that really need to be resolved, or if you think that it's a lot of fuss about nothing. extendedplayer@ign.com is the email address if you would like to get in touch with us. We will talk again about Skyrim next week, but until then, Keza McDonald, Tom Butler, Daniel Krupa, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
See you
Bye-bye.
next week.
Fuzroda!
Legends. Long have legends inspired people the world over. For in legends, we see the worlds of the impossible unfold before us.
Heroic quests, horrific monsters, gods, magic, tales of the valiant and the villainous. But more than that, in legend, we see ourselves reflected in the stories we tell.
I'm William Stark,
And I'm Omar Timsah.
and we are D&D Legends and Lore. Join us as we explore the fantastic lore of the world's most popular tabletop RPG. Suddenly, a beam of radiant light pierces the haze. Then, a powerful angel streaks down from above. She is pure beauty, fury, and zeal.
Arashni, your sentence has been spoken by the Sildarine. For what you have done, you are declared demon. Be what you are, and go where you must. You can find D&D Legends and Lore on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts can be found.
You should listen to the GamesIndustry.biz microcast.
More people are playing games than ever before. They've never been more popular, and yet the business behind it is facing some real challenges and changes.
There's been tens of thousands of layoffs, hundreds of studio closures as major companies face rising costs and falling sales.
There's uncertainty around the future of game consoles.
There's legal and government intervention into how games are even being paid for.
The role of AI is changing how games are being made.
There's the impact of games like Fortnite and Roblox dominating everyone's time.
And then there's the desperate wait for Switch 2 and GTA 6, and that's just 2024.
Two leading business journalists with a combined 35 years of experience offer you a weekly guide through all of this and more.
I'm Christopher Dring, head of GamesIndustry.biz.
I'm James Batchelor, editor-in-chief of GamesIndustry.biz, and you can join us every Monday for the GamesIndustry.biz microcast.
The most important stories,
expert guests,
exclusive market data,
and all in less than 30 minutes.
Usually.
The GamesIndustry.biz microcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.